It's 2 a.m. on the Nile River. The year is 1300 BC. A sound cuts through the desert silence, rotors low and distant. 6 stealth helicopters skim the water's surface, invisible in the darkness. Inside, 40 Navy SEALs prepare for the most impossible mission in history: collapse the most powerful empire on Earth. They have 48 hours. The countdown has begun. The Nile Delta stretches endlessly beneath them, silver and black under the stars. The pilots navigate by night vision, following the river's ancient curves. No runway, no backup, no extraction until the mission is complete. The SEALs drop into waist-deep marsh water, 3 miles from the nearest Egyptian settlement. The helicopters vanish south, hugging the terrain. Silence returns to the reeds. 40 men, armed with suppressed rifles, explosives, drones, and thermal optics, crouch in enemy territory, 3,000 years before any of this technology should exist. This is a sandbox scenario, a thought experiment. We're not here to debate time travel paradoxes or historical accuracy. We're here to answer one question. Could modern special operations tactics, stealth, speed, and psychological warfare bring down the Bronze Age superpower in 2 nights? The answer may surprise you. The team establishes a hidden operating base deep in the marshlands. Camouflage netting, solar charging stations, encrypted communications that won't be invented for millennia. They deploy micro-drones, silent, invisible, equipped with infrared cameras. Within an hour, they have eyes on 5 major cities along the Nile. Their supplies are finite. Ammunition, 2,000 rounds per operator. Explosives, enough for 20 critical targets. Battery life, 72 hours maximum. Food and water, 3 days if rationed. No resupply, no reinforcements, no plan B. The mission clock starts now. 48 hours to break an empire that has stood for over 1,000 years. The SEALs know something the Egyptians don't. Empires don't fall on battlefields, they collapse from within. And ancient Egypt has a weakness the pharaohs never saw coming. Egypt isn't just a kingdom, it's a machine. Everything flows through the Nile: grain shipments, tax collection, military movement, communication. Control the river and you control Egypt. But the river is just infrastructure. The real power is belief. The pharaoh isn't a king, he's a living god. The high priests aren't advisors, they're the voice of the divine. The people don't obey out of fear, they obey because they believe the cosmic order depends on it. Religion isn't just culture here, it's the operating system of the entire civilization. The SEALs identify 3 possible approaches. Option 1, direct assault on the pharaoh's palace. High casualties, low probability of success. Option 2, arm rebels and spark a civil war. Too slow, they don't have weeks. Option 3, psychological shock campaign. Target the symbols of divine power. Break the belief system. Watch the empire eat itself. They choose option 3. The pharaoh won't see them coming because he's not looking for an enemy, he's looking for proof that the gods are angry. The first temple raid happens at midnight. The SEALs move through the sacred complex like shadows, thermal scopes, suppressed weapons, coordinated in silence through bone conduction comms. The high priest of Ra is praying in the inner sanctuary when they extract him. No shots fired, no witnesses. He's sedated and hidden in the marshlands before anyone notices he's gone. By dawn, 3 more priests have vanished. Sacred barges, elaborately decorated boats used in religious ceremonies, are found burned at the docks. Offerings to the gods are missing from temple altars. Statues are toppled. But here's what terrifies the Egyptians most. No one heard anything. No army attacked, no rebels were seen. The gods' own sanctuaries were violated by something invisible. The drones deploy at nightfall. Villagers see lights in the sky, silent, hovering, unnatural. They move in patterns no bird or torch could match. The SEALs use infrared lasers to mark buildings, invisible to the naked eye, but visible through their optics. To the Egyptians, it looks like certain homes are being cursed by beings from the heavens. One priest, captured and released at dawn, stumbles back into the city raving about demons that could see in perfect darkness. He describes metal locusts that hovered without sound. He swears the demons were the faces of jackals, night vision goggles naturally. Turns out military tech does look pretty godlike when you're still using bronze swords. Phase 2 begins at sundown. The SEALs split into 4 fire teams, each targeting critical infrastructure along a 30-mile stretch of the Nile. First target, irrigation gates. Explosives planted at key canals redirect water away from agricultural zones. Within hours, thousands of acres begin to dry. Second target, grain barges. Egypt's economy runs on surplus wheat. The SEALs sink 12 transport ships carrying tax grain to the capital. Third target, tax collection stations along the river. These small fortresses are where regional governors collect tribute. The SEALs hit 3 in one night. Silent raids, officials missing, records burned. But the most devastating strike is psychological. They sink the pharaoh's royal barge, the golden ceremonial ship used in religious festivals. It goes down in the middle of the Nile, in full view of a riverside city. No attackers are seen, no arrows fired. The ship just sinks, as if the river itself rejected the pharaoh's divinity. By morning, panic is spreading faster than the SEALs could ever move. Merchants refuse to transport goods. Farmers abandon their fields, fearing divine punishment. Regional governors send desperate messages to the capital. But here's the problem. The SEALs have been intercepting them. Egypt's communication system is simple: runners and messenger boats. The SEALs set up observation posts along the major routes. Any official courier traveling toward the capital is quietly intercepted. Messages are taken, messengers are detained, unharmed but isolated. Within 36 hours, the pharaoh's palace is operating in an information blackout. Governors scream for guidance, but their messages never arrive. The capital sends orders, but regional officials never receive them. The chain of command isn't broken, it's surgically severed. Meanwhile, the SEALs use the captured messengers to send false information, contradictory orders, fake reports of military movements. One governor is told the pharaoh commands him to march his forces south. Another is told to fortify the north. A third receives a message saying the gods have declared a 2-week religious fast. No one is to work or eat. None of these orders are real, but the governors have no way to confirm. The empire's nervous system is shutting down. Armies sit idle, awaiting instructions that will never come. Cities lock down based on rumors. And in the palace, the pharaoh has no idea his kingdom is collapsing. Hour 42. The SEALs regroup for the final phase. The target? The pharaoh himself. The palace sits on the Nile's edge, protected by walls, guards, and the assumption that no mortal would dare attack a god. The SEALs approach underwater, using rebreathers, invisible in the Black River. They surface inside the palace complex through an ancient drainage channel, crude by modern standards, but unguarded. 4 operators move through the palace using night vision and thermal imaging. They avoid confrontation. Guards see nothing but empty corridors. The SEAL team reaches the royal chamber where the pharaoh sleeps. Flashbangs detonate. Blinding light, deafening noise, total disorientation. Before the guards can even draw weapons, the pharaoh and his 2 chief advisors are restrained, sedated, and extracted through the same route they entered. It takes 11 minutes, no casualties, no alarm raised until morning. Simultaneously, a second team raids the temple complex and captures the high priest of Amun, the most powerful religious authority in Egypt. By dawn, Egypt's divine king and its highest spiritual leader are both missing. When the sun rises on the 3rd day, the empire discovers its god is gone. The palace erupts in chaos. Generals demand answers. Priests declare it an omen. But here's the critical moment. No one knows who to obey. Without the pharaoh, there is no chain of command. Without the high priests, there is no religious authority to legitimize a successor. The system doesn't have a backup plan because the pharaoh, by definition, cannot be removed.
Riots break out in the capital. Not rebellion, panic. People don't know if this is divine punishment, foreign invasion, or the collapse of cosmic order itself. The army mobilizes, but has no orders. Some units march north, others south. Two divisions nearly clash because they received contradictory instructions planted by the SEALs days earlier. Regional governors, isolated and terrified, begin making unilateral decisions. Some declare independence, others seize grain supplies for their own cities. Trade stops. The Nile, once the empire's lifeline, becomes a no-man's land. Egypt hasn't been conquered by force, it's been decapitated. And without its head, the body thrashes itself to death.
The SEALs are running on empty. Ammunition reserves, 30%. Drone batteries, critical. Food supplies, nearly gone. They've achieved the impossible, but they can't hold territory. They're not an occupying force. They're a scalpel, not a sword. The pharaoh, sedated and held in the marsh base, is still alive. The high priests are unharmed. The SEALs could release them, and theoretically, order might be restored. But the damage is done. Egypt has seen its gods bleed. The psychological wound won't heal. The empire doesn't need to be occupied. It needs to believe it's beaten. And after 48 hours of invisible attacks, divine symbols destroyed, and its god king vanishing into thin air, that belief is shattered. So, could a Navy SEAL team conquer ancient Egypt in 48 hours? Yes, but not the way you think. They didn't win through firepower. 40 men, no matter how advanced, couldn't defeat a 100,000-man army. They won because they understood what Egypt truly was, a civilization held together by belief, infrastructure, and information. Break those three pillars, and the empire collapses under its own weight. The SEALs didn't need to kill the pharaoh, they just needed to make him irrelevant. They didn't need to destroy the army, they needed to make it paralyzed and confused. They didn't need to burn cities, they needed to make the people believe the gods had abandoned them. Modern special operations doctrine isn't about brute force, it's about leverage. Find the pressure point, apply precision violence, watch the system fail. Ancient Egypt, for all its grandeur, never stood a chance against an enemy it couldn't see, couldn't understand, and couldn't fight. 48 hours, one team, the fall of an empire. Now, here's my challenge to you. My friend told me I'll never reach 500 subscribers before January 31st. Prove him wrong. Hit that subscribe button. Show him what happens when you underestimate what's possible. Let's make the impossible happen together.